Oftentimes, progress starts with an act of defiance. Whether it's on a personal level, consistently striving to better yourself, or something as large as defying authority to lift up an entire group of people because it's right. On today's episode, we're going to take a look at how defiance is a catalyst for change, its impact on fashion and music, and how sometimes the most difficult decisions are the most important ones we can make. This is Beats, Kicks, and Life. Roll it! Welcome back to another episode of Beats, Kicks, and Life. I, of course, am your host, John Lall. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Today, we are taking a closer look at the Air Jordan 1 SB Defiant. We're also going to talk about one of my favorite hip-hop artists, Common, and break down a couple of his songs. And finally, Summer and I will discuss the making of our song, Decisions. But before we get into all that, make sure to like this video, hit subscribe if you haven't already, ring that notification bell so we can always keep you up to date on what's going on with Beats, Kicks, and Life. In order to get into our sneaker of the week, I gotta give you a little bit of context first. Now, hip-hop and skate culture actually have a lot in common. Both are youth-led movements. Both are born out of rebellion and self-expression. And both had pioneering fashion styles. A lot of people had similar responses to both of these art forms. They hated them. Skateboarding represented a culture that rebelled against the rules and took over the city. And it's certainly come a long way since then. Next year, it's gonna make its debut as an Olympic sport in Tokyo. And we watched hip-hop come up in the same way, from social outcasts.
Their rhyming lyrics to a thundering beat are angry, violent, and profane.
To culture kings and queens.
The Oscar goes to... It's hard out here for a pill. Oh my God!
Now you might know about the connection between Jordan Brand and hip-hop if you watched episode 1. But would it surprise you to know that skaters also love Jordan 1s?
That's right, Alba.
Skaters were always partial to the fit and feel of Jordan 1s, and Nike knew that that was a market they could really tap into. In 1996, Nike attempted their first run at shoes for skateboarders. It didn't really pan out because the market was already dominated by other skate brands like DC, Osiris, Airwalk, and Vans. In 2001, Nike created its own skateboarding division, Nike SB, dedicated to making sneakers and clothing for these Defiant athletes.
Excuse me! Oh, no! Hold your horses there, McEnroe! You see the sign? Do you see the sign?
What sign?
I've seen you guys playing tennis here before.
Look, we're not from around here.
I'm just trying to do my job. Understand that? I'm trying to help you out. Run, Ashley, run! Hey! Hey! Off the fence! Couple of monkeys up there. Game over. The night's done. Jackasses.
Some of the most notable and first skaters to work with Nike were Lance Mountain, Paul Rodriguez, and the late Louis Marnell. Under the direction of Sandy Boddicker, Nike SB reintroduced the dunk to skateboarders because of its resemblance to the Jordans that skaters already knew and loved. No one could have predicted the impact that these skate shoes would have on sneaker culture as a whole, defying all expectations and shattering sales records. They are now some of the most coveted shoes, sometimes reselling for thousands of dollars over their average $100 retail price point. Fortunately, we were lucky enough to get our hands on a rare pair of sneakers that brings this all together. This is the Air Jordan 1 SB Defiant in the LA to Chicago colorway. Let's take a closer look. The reason behind this colorway is to pay respect to the two cities that brought skateboarding from its rebel roots to mainstream acceptance. So underneath the LA colors of purple and gold hides a second Chicago paint scheme of red and black. Other than that, you got a pretty classic pair of Jordan 1s, featuring a white midsole and a black outsole, as well as white leather in the midfoot of the shoe. And white and black are easily paired with either colorway you choose. A major selling point for both skaters and ballers is the durability of a full leather upper and the comfort and security of a padded ankle collar. Another collaborative detail is the Nike SB logo on the nylon tongue. and the complimentary Jordan brand wings on the ankle. No doubt about it, this sneaker pays homage to its Defiant roots in both basketball and skateboarding, while continuing to be one of the most desirable and culturally relevant shoes to this day. And that's the Air Jordan 1 SB Defiant. Is this a shoe that you would rock or stock? And which of the two colorways would you choose? Let us know in the comments down below. Los Angeles and Chicago are home to some of the most game-changing athletes and artists in the world, and one of the most talented lyricists to come out of Chicago is Common.
The world-famous artist and musician, Common.
He has an Oscar, Golden Globe, Emmy, and Grammy. Our brother Common.
Peace, what up, y'all?
Our special guest is Common, the multi-Grammy award-winning rapper, actor, activist, and author.
Common is a hip-hop legend who came up in the early 90s with songs like I Used to Love Her, Retrospect for Life, and The Light. He's worked with artists and producers like Lauryn Hill, Erykah Badu, Black Thought, Questlove, D'Angelo, the late great Jay Dilla, and of course, Kanye West, who produced one of my favorite albums that Common's ever done, Finding Forever.
Him as a producer was, for me, he was bringing something special to the table, and I knew I was bringing something special to the table, so why not join forces?
Now, if you look up the term conscious hip hop, you'd probably find a picture of Common. Even Key and Peele got jokes about it.
Struggle in the house, using words and rhymes to get through hard times.
But there's no denying that Common's lyrics touch on so much more than monetary superiority. His 3-minute autobiographical masterpiece, The People, shows just how conscious he is.
The struggle of the brothers and the folks, the lovers of the boys, experiment to discover hope, scuffle for notes. Rougher, I wrote times was harder. Went from rock and started to the voice of a martyr. White folk focus on dolls and yoga. People on the low end trying to ball and get over. Lyrics are like liquor for the fallen soldier. From the bounce to the house, it's all our culture. Every day we hustling, trying to get them customers. No, we ain't trusting them. Big bras, we lusting them. Sick and tired of punching them. I look on the busting them. When I see them struggling, I think I'm touching them. The people.
All right, there's so much to unpack in just that one verse. It's so dope. He talks about the struggle we all go through to get past what society tells us to value. And this speaks to me because as a musician who's often told it's hard to make it, I know that music and art in general isn't about money.
Do it for the people. Said that I was sharp on TV at the Grammys. No, they tried to India, I read me. Got backstage, bumped into Stevie. He said, no matter what, the people gon' see me. Can't leave rap alone, the streets need me. Hunger in their eyes, what seemed to feed me? Inside peace mixed with beef seemed to breed me. Nobody believed till I believe me.
One of my favorite lines is, nobody believed until I believed me. And that's a line I go back to even to this day. It's one of the most important thoughts in the world to me. Because sometimes people won't believe in you until you start to believe in yourself. And the more you do, the more the people will.
Peace, y'all. Yeah.
So we're gonna perform a song. It's called A Letter to the Free. And it's from a film directed by Ava DuVernay called The 13th. And it's about the 13th Amendment, how it still says that slavery is alive if you are a criminal. So this whole song and piece is about mass incarceration.
Now, I still cry when I listen to this song. It features beautiful vocals from Lall and a choir of singers that channel the powerful messages and feelings of old spirituals. That first part of the song pays homage to the haunting Billie Holiday classic Strange Fruit. And if you haven't heard it, it is an absolute must listen.
Southern trees bear strange fruit.
Letter to the Free talks about our country's ugly history and our society's refusal to acknowledge the horrors of our past in order to institute the equality today that has never truly existed. In my opinion, there is no other song that better encapsulates every single protest that we've seen for the last year, and maybe even every single struggle that Black people have seen since the birth of America. A Grammy winner, an Oscar winner, an amazing actor, a dope MC, and above all, a relentless activist who is unapologetically himself and stands up for what he believes in. In fact, after the death of George Floyd, I found myself marching right next to Common. We exchanged a knowing look as we both continued to chant, Black Lives Matter.
Won't be long. Freedom, freedom come. Hold on.
This is going to be our last song. This one's called Decisions. And when we wrote this, I wasn't even sure if I was going to say anything, but it felt right. So when we wrote this, it was at an impasse. We had a band before this. It didn't work out. We tried another thing. It didn't work out. We didn't know if we were even going to do anything. We didn't know if we could.
For our beat of the week, Summer and I are going to talk about our song, Decisions. Decisions was the first song we wrote as power couple. And to know the story of that song is to know our story of how we defied our own perceived limitations.
When writing Decisions, one of the really special things to us was the lyrics. At the time, John and I were both working in youth correctional facilities, and we were super moved by the kids we were working with every day using music. So in the verses, we were trying to imagine what their perspective must be like in all the different choices they had to make. Over time, though, as we kept writing, we realized the song was more about us and was more personal. And I think that happens a lot with artists. They end up writing songs that they need to hear, almost like our own advice to ourselves or our own personal anthem.
In writing the lyrics to this, we also got a chance at a little bit of self-reflection, looking back on some of our mistakes, but also knowing that those mistakes don't define us.
I didn't deserve that. I didn't know, and now that the damage is done, all I do is hold back.
What's unique about Decisions is it doesn't follow a traditional song form, and I think that's really important. You know, it just keeps building on itself, and it's almost two very different, distinct sections that complement each other.
What happens in the beginning, which is the ooze that you hear, it's like a very chanting choir song. And that right there is actually kind of a callback to the spirituals that we also learned growing up.
Yeah, it's almost like at the end you get this feeling of burden and heaviness, like marching through a really difficult time, but it's also a collective shared experience. So because we're doing it together and with the music, we can get through it.
I can conquer the world, but it's all gotta start with decisions. I got decisions to make.
Now the bass in this song is just so crazy. I would love for you to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, in designing the bass, I was kind of just like, you know, when your heart is beating real fast, you know, especially in those moments of stress or anxiety or whatever, sometimes you feel it so much that it's like pulsating in your head. You ever get that feeling, right? So I wanted to really drive that feeling home with the bass line. One of the ways I thought would be best to do it was to automate the side chaining. So, you know, obviously at different moments, you're gonna have it feel slower and then faster and slower and faster, and it creates this like different pulsating kind of rhythm at different times.
So the other thing I really love about Decisions is you think it's over and then there's like another minute and you're like, what is gonna happen in this minute?
Yeah.
But we strip away everything and just go to very classic sounding piano, and that's meant to represent being alone with your thoughts. So
after that part, you kind of have the decisions line just again and again and again. And the point I was trying to make is it's kind of like that echo chamber you get inside your head. We tried to make it sound a little bit grittier by putting a guitar amp over that. We elevated the pitch progressively over time and also got it to be faster and faster and faster until it just became this like wild, out of control mess. And as that's happening, the white noise is getting louder and louder and louder until it just stops, right? And that's meant to be that moment of clarity when you finally made your decision.
If you want to check out our track Decisions, it's on our EP Blocks Feel, and it's on every major digital platform. Let us know what you think.
Go check it out. And that's episode 6. Thanks so much for watching, y'all. We really appreciate it. Can you think of a time when you had to defy expectations? Or a time when you went against the grain because it was the right thing to do? We want to hear your stories in the comments down below. Folks, this is going to be our last episode of the season. We appreciate the continued support so much. We are overwhelmed. Because of that, we honestly cannot wait to bring you more content in season 2. So stay tuned for that.
We're literally just getting started.
Tell your friends, tell your family, even random strangers. Just let them know what's up with Beats, Kicks, and Life. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, click like on this video, show us some love, and we're going to keep on bringing you more content. Until next time, peace.